Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says that it's starting. It says you are live. The internet can totally see you now.
Yeah.
So
Um.
fantastic. What's
On.
up, you guys?
Hi.
For anybody who may be jumping in any moment now,
Just gonna get the chat up on the old smartphone.
it is so delayed on my computer.
Yeah. That's always the way with streaming. You're hearing what we say about 10 to 20 seconds after we say it.
But somehow I can hear you in real time, I guess.
Yeah,
Do you have a delay, the
because
other?
we're on a Skype call. The Skype call is what's being broadcast.
Oh. Well, everybody gets to know just how technologically brain dead I am.
It took me about half an hour to get my microphone to work. I don't get it to say anything.
Well, it took me an hour of my life to get everything sorted, so.
Anyway,
All right.
hello
Well,
everyone.
what's up, you guys? We're here.
I'm Ollie, by the
Today
way.
we thought we would discuss the living zombies in society. And if I sound terrible, it's because I feel as terrible as I look and sound. So don't judge me, but totally judge me. And my goal is to do this stream without sneezing or coughing. And hopefully, this will turn out pretty well. And on this evening, I have Ollie joining me again. Ole!
Hello, I'm Ollie.
And I'm going to make sure that I totally pick on him and do stuff to him like I always
What else am I here for?
do. Anyways, so today's topic, living zombies, is pretty much the way I perceive people these days. A lot of people, to me, they are like zombies. And what I mean by that is that, for instance, I see that people are taking too many meds. It's like when I'm at work, it is rare for me to meet a colleague or see a new person, even if they're young, that is not taking any kind of medication. And every time I observe that someone's behavior is odd, like they are temperamental, or you just do not know how to predict how this person's day is going to be like, oftentimes what I hear is they're taking medication. They're under medication. And I'm like, well, can I get medicated too? Because if you can get away with crappy behavior because you're medicated, then I want to have the privilege of being medicated too.
I
But
think
I
people use that as an excuse to a point. Although I have known a lot of people on a lot of different meds, and some of them actually I've known the meds actually bring them back from being zombies rather than make them zombies. But I've also known it work the other way around.
I feel like it works the other way around way too often. But in your defense, I guess most of these people I meet after the fact, after the drugging has taken place. So maybe for you, you had an experience meeting these people at a better stage in their life.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that kind of depends on what they're being medicated for. Are we talking antidepressants or antibiotics?
Definitely antidepressants because antibiotics do not mess you up like that because I overuse antibiotics like crazy because I get like at least when it comes to externally I get bit by stuff all the time. It's not the same as ingesting it, but I in my experience taking any kind of medicine in my life, I've never changed my behavior. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm just concerned that how often this is happening is pretty alarming to me.
Yeah, I was on antidepressants for about a month, uh, so that's not really long enough for them to do anything. But I didn't feel them working at all. I was just feeling kind of nauseous from having them, so I thought, why bother?
A lot of people say that. They say that they either don't work on them, or maybe they don't work on them because they end up quitting them
Yeah. I've
earlier
known
on in the
people who
game.
have.
I didn't even give them a chance.
Yeah, I've known people who've had to go on like 4 different medications before they found one that worked. And see,
Isn't that crazy though? You're treated like this massive experiment.
yeah.
Why is that acceptable?
Well, so the thing is with these mood altering medications, or nootropics or what have you, they're altering your brain chemistry slightly. And if your brain chemistry is already out of whack, then that is the most logical thing to do to get it back to normal. But the thing is, I guess you don't know precisely what it is you need to do to get it back to normal. So it's just trial and
I,
error.
I think that's an example of maybe the cure being worse than the ailment. Because you ever notice how everything seems to have side effects? Why would you want to correct something if something else is going to end up messed up? I guess you gotta choose which one is the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah,
But if you don't know what the other consequences are going to be, you don't even know what kind of decision to make.
yeah. I have heard. Oh god, I think I've gone out of focus again. You know what? It doesn't matter. Screw it. Right. Um, I have been. I've talked to my GP. I don't know what. I don't know if you call that the same thing over there. The doctor that generally sees you specifically.
Oh, I guess it's the family doctor, your
Yeah,
general consultant.
yeah, yeah. That. Um. Well, mine is very against drugging you because I got into this place when I was stressed with uni work when I thought, look, there's no behavioral technique that's going to help me here. I'm going to. It's like, it could be that I just need drugs to get my brain fired up to get these things done. Like, I was willing to, like, I was. I was like, hell, if cocaine would work, I'd take it.
I
No.
like how you said fired up. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't actually have taken cocaine. That was just a hyperbole. I
there
took
goes my
cocaine.
monetization. Just kidding.
Oh,
Um, when it comes
sorry.
to that, it's kind of strange because
Yeah.
I know that what you're doing is is like the art, and that requires a whole nother level of concentration, focus, determination. It's not like you can just put together an act, put together an essay, put together stories like that. So maybe you need something to fire up your creativity from
Yeah.
time to time.
Although I've got to say I have never used drugs to do that. Although I was once offered cocaine in one of those student gathering things, I politely declined.
I feel like everybody has gotten drugs offered to them at some point in their lives. Where are you people at to where this happens to you? Or maybe I was just so antisocial that no one ever came over to me, but I have never ever had someone offer me anything, and I'm glad. But it's just strange that this happens to other people, but I never went through that. I never got
Yeah.
offered to smoke. I never got offered drugs. So thank God.
But
But
yeah,
still, I still find it weird that other people go through that.
my doctor, when I asked about drugs or whatever, said, "Well, I can book you in for cognitive behavioral therapy," which I did end up going to. You might remember. Um, but I said I kind of need something a bit more immediate than um, talking therapy. And he's like, "When is the deadline?" It's next week.
I know something about speaking to a stranger about my issues. I'm sure that they could have helped because being a stranger, they are less likely to have a bias for anything. But at the same time, I cannot just open up to anybody, even
Also,
if
as a
it's
licensed
professional.
therapist, they are legally obligated to not divulge what you say to anyone.
Right.
If
So
they
that
do,
is
you
a
can sue
perk.
them,
That is a perk for sure, but
and they will lose their job if they do that. Unless, of course, they have reason to believe that you are a threat to yourself or other people. Like, if I were to go to my therapist and say like, I don't know, I have a I have a concealed weapon and I'm planning on using it the minute I get out of here, then my therapist would have been in the right to contact the appropriate people to stop me from doing that. But
Yeah,
anything
that's
less than that, and they're not allowed to say anything, they're not allowed to repeat anything you say to them.
that's cool. I think that's really cool though, that their job is in the line when it comes to keeping
Yeah.
that information
Oh, that actually
secret.
reminds me. This is really off topic, but a mutual friend of ours, a person we both know, you have contactless card payments over there, yeah? Where you just tap your card to the thing and it processes the transaction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, he doesn't like those because they could overcharge you by any amount and you wouldn't be able to tell until you got out of there. Yeah, they're totally gonna risk their job to shortchange you by $1 or two.
Yeah, I don't have that card that allows me to tap, but I
Yeah,
know we have it.
I
It
do.
it
It's
works
convenient.
90% of the time. Well, another thing that I had observed about people that makes me consider them zombies is that they are always too tired. Too tired to go to the gym, too tired to go hang out with family, too tired to wake up early in the morning. This is exactly my problem. Too tired
Sorry, let me
to
just silence my phone.
function in any way, shape, or form. And I get it. I mean, we all work hard, especially when you're at the bottom level and you spend so many hours working, making very little money, and sometimes you have no option but to stick around to that for long periods of time, depending on your circumstances. But even like, I don't like to sit here and make it seem like I feel like I'm better than anybody because I'm not. But I believe that I get a lot of stuff done in my day regardless. So I just wish that I understood how other people perceive their exhaustion. I know that factors to consider would be their health, their age, their diet, their sleep patterns, their consumption of drugs or something, and things like that. But at the same time, I like to hold people individually responsible for that because let me tell you, as tired as I am, I still like to try to get things done. I still try to be there for everybody.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
you are a fuck.
wonder, is it just a lack of skill on people's part? Is it a lack of acknowledgement on how to organize their lives better or what? But sometimes when someone tells me that they're too tired, it's like, I get it, because I know what it's like to be hella tired, but it's like, why can't you just not keep pushing through? Like,
Yeah,
there's always someone out there who's having it worse than you, and maybe it's not like I actively think that as I go about my days, but I'm thinking it is possible to make it even when you're super tired. It is possible to go above and beyond. So I just wish that people did not just refuge behind that excuse consistently, because I feel like that's what I hear every time these days. Oh, I cannot go see my parents because I'm too tired. Oh, I cannot make it to this date because I'm too tired. Or I cannot help someone move because I'm too tired. It's like it's just one day out of the year maybe that your assistance is being requested. Like, I don't get asked by someone to help them move every year. So just taking some time out of my day to lend someone a hand, doesn't matter how long it takes. I think that's great. It just teaches you to be like tolerant, build up. I feel like the more that you avoid hard work, you'll never get in the shape for it. So I think that because I started that at a really young age, that's how I have known my life. It's become normal for me, and I shouldn't be okay with that. But I'm just
yeah,
saying that it is possible to make it. So I just wish I would see people being a little more proactive about it. Most people do their best, but there are some people who they just dedicate their lives to talking about why their lives are so terrible because they are too tired. And I'm like, well, you're not going to, it's not going to get better. Stuff will get worse before it gets better. So maybe start correcting it now before it gets too out of control.
Yeah. Well, I would argue with you, but I'm too tired. Like, no, no.
That was so good. I would argue with you, but I'm too tired. I was not expecting
Yeah. No, no, I get it.
that.
The daily grind is constant, and it's gonna wipe you out. But yeah, so to an extent, I get it, being tired all the time, because I spent 5 years as an art student where you are never off work. Like people, um, this is just a tiny little rant on my part. People talk like about art students like we just lie around all day, go into a studio, do jazz hands, and then off home. No, like if you're in a line of work, like a creative line of work, you are thinking about it constantly. You are
Mental
never
work
off.
is draining.
Yeah, it there are no days off for creative people because and also if like me, um, I've kind of internalized capitalism and determined my value on any given day based on how productive I've been. So I feel like crap if I don't get anything done. Which is not a healthy mindset to have. But it's like, because you know how, like, if. And I'm sure you have this too, because, well, you have this channel right now that we're on. But just as an example, I occasionally stream games now and then, right?
Yeah.
I can't really play them recreationally so much anymore because if I do, I feel like it's a wasted opportunity because I'm not streaming it and I could be
Yeah,
putting something out. It's like,
you have begun to associate it as a possibility for a job.
yeah, for content to put out,
Right, right.
yeah,
It's pretty much at this time you're in a stage in which your work is unpaid.
yeah, and it's like I make videos apart from that, and well, I find that to be a more rewarding experience when it's done. To be honest, because then, well, I don't upload videos until they're done, and well, I uploaded one about a month ago. It was that Darth Vader one, and I felt genuinely proud of myself when I got it done, and that was a great feeling. And then it was immediately blocked. I was like,
For me,
never mind.
it's when I go many days without streaming, I just go back and I think to, wow, this time last year I was owning it. I was in shape. I was feeling better. I was making videos daily or maybe miss one day out of the week, but it's weird because it's not like I'm burned out. As long as there is stuff going on in the world, I will always have a topic to produce. That's how I look at this channel.
Yeah,
And sometimes when I hear trends about other creators that are leaving the grind because they feel burned out, I'm like, the only reason you feel burned out is because you turned this into a job and you're allowing for the pressure of remaining relevant to get to you. I've been losing subscribers a lot. Like I lose 10 subs per week on average, and that has not stressed me out one bit. Why? Because I have accepted that this is something very volatile. Even if this were my means of making money, I will enjoy it for as long as it lasts. It's not like I need to maintain this for the rest of my life. If there comes a point in which someone better arises and they pretty much kick me out of my spot, I cannot get upset over that because this is not something that's meant to be permanent. And sometimes, again, this is that really cold side of me, but I tend to have a hard time feeling empathy for people who feel like they're burned out from their jobs because I'm always asking, why did you not take the time to consider what the consequences of your position are? Like, if you're going to end up being recognized as a public figure, that has consequences. if you're going to be a creative person and you depend on your creativity to make money, have you ever considered what would happen if at some point you get sick? And just like any normal person, sometimes you have to take time off. But what is time off when you are your own boss? How are you accruing that time? At least when you work for a company, that is being like say set aside for you, just like taxes are supposed to deduct a certain amount for you to have social security to ensure that you retire. But I just think it's weird that because most of these people start their channels early or something, let's say that they start when they're teenagers, that is the only skill that they know. The idea of going into another industry, say, let's pick retail, for example, it terrifies them. It's like, what is wrong with that? You're still making money, you're going to make ends meet, you're going to have to tweak your lifestyle a little bit. Don't be afraid of it. But again, I know how to live with very little. So that's why maybe when I hear cases like that, I'm like, what is the problem? I don't see the problem. You are choosing to let something overwhelm you. Not everything is meant to last forever. You're not meant to be a professional athlete forever because you're going to age, you're going to break down. So, working in a creative field is no different. The way that you think now is not how you're going to consistently think, and the rate in which you generate thoughts presently is not going to remain the same. Just accept that and, as they say, age gracefully. So if you have to retire from being a content creator because you have reached some kind of a limit, just accept it and move on. Move on to something new. Especially if you have an audience, very easily you can start other kinds of businesses. So it's not like you have to be constantly being on people's faces to make life work for you. You just gotta be smarter about your decisions.
Yeah.
So when I think about my channel, it's like I don't care if it grows, I don't care if it dies. It's the same for me because I know what it means to me. This is not my dream, and even if it were, I know that it's not a sustainable one. So I would be okay with it being given up at some point, me having to give it up at some point. I will go back and be like, while it lasted, I enjoyed it. But these other younger people who like they have this fear of will my fans understand me and accept me? Like it doesn't matter. Just that's the decision you're gonna make, then just make the decision, move on, chill out. There's
Yeah.
plenty of stuff to do in this planet to make money. So again, that's just me. I guess that's just my cold side, but it is very difficult for me to feel bad for these people. Like you have so many opportunities that the average person doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I can't really speak to that experience because I've never really been a prominent figure in any way. But um,
Me either. And I
yeah,
guess it's easy for me to speak about it when I have not experienced it, but just like I have expressed before, I don't need to try something to know whether I will like it or not. Like when it comes to traveling, most people commonly say that they enjoy traveling. They find the experience to be exciting. For me, it does not have that effect. Even if I have not gone overseas, I do not need to go overseas to know that I am going to feel anxious about being away from home after 4 days. Like, I mean, the little bit of experience I've had being like within the country but really far away from home, that suffices for me to know how I would behave somewhere else that's different. The only difference will be the culture, the climate, but the basics are still there. Some things just don't change. But but yeah, if you like to travel, if that's your thing, then just go ahead and do it. But
yeah,
but I think it's weird to uh, to expect for that to be a sustainable thing. And Garuda is here and he
Oh,
says,
hey.
"Hi, me love."
Hi.
And he says, "Tell Ollie that he says hi."
Hello. Yeah, he pops up
Hi.
on my channel from time to time as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I am glad that someone has migrated to your channel whenever I've been absent.
Yeah. We're
But yeah,
talking about societal zombies, not George Romero style zombies. This isn't a post-apocalypse stream.
yeah, nah, I've thought about it,
Yeah.
but
Although,
when it
for
comes to
reference,
zombies from that point of view, I'm not very well informed to have an opinion. They're just the living dead.
although
But
if
I just,
you had to pick three weapons, mine would be flanged mace, compound bow, and ice pick. Those would be my three weapons of choice for surviving a zombie apocalypse.
honestly, I have nothing. Weapons is just something that's not in my mind. I actually like your collab with Ollie. Two cool people. Oh,
Oh,
Ollie,
well,
they
thank you.
like you.
Thank you, I
Uh,
appreciate it.
we appreciate it. Yeah, I try to do this a little more often because I know that my style of filming can get pretty monotone. But it's just that, I was just born to talk. So that's why solo content is just my thing. But yeah, I'm glad that most people, well, everybody who commented on the last time we did this, everybody had nice things to say. So,
Yeah,
so it's something I'm trying to make happen a little more often.
yeah. We had
Another
some
aspect
technical
of,
difficulties earlier. It's,
but
uh,
they have been resolved.
yeah.
All these expertise.
Well, my
Another aspect of living zombies is people who don't have feelings. I feel like everywhere that I go to, like me, I guess I fall into this category because I have feelings for certain things. But in the same manner that a feeling can be born for me today, tomorrow, it can disappear. It can have no meaning. And I feel like hanging on to meaningful things has been so difficult these days. But for me personally, other people, especially parents, younger parents, they either get it right or they just don't get it right. They get overwhelmed by their stress, especially if they're single parents. So it is strange that something as basic as emotions is something that seems to be evolving because of the way we conduct our lives in modern days. We have the influence of the internet, so much media telling us how the world is crappy and whatnot, but how much of the world being crappy do we actually personally experience? For
oh,
me, it would be the political aspect of it in the country in which I don't have the privilege of having healthcare, for example. And other things are, let's see, what else? I guess owning something, like the only thing I own for right now is my car, but I cannot say I own it if I still owe on it. But anything that's actually mine, my own property, I have nothing. And I guess that can create a feeling of uncertainty. It's like you have to work extra hard to have something for yourself. But yeah, people, I feel like most people just don't have feelings. You go to work, you don't have a feeling about it, you don't have a sense of meaning. You come home, you don't have a sense of like a family life because most people live by themselves, or you're living with kids but you're a single parent and you're still trying to live your life as a young person who has kids, but you know that your schedule now revolves around this tiny creature that needs you all the time. So yeah, it's just sad for me. The state of people's emotional being, I think it's in a very poor situation. It
yeah.
needs attention.
Now, I myself, I have too much emotions. Mine don't have halfway dials. It's like fire extinguisher, all or nothing with me. Like,
And yes, Garuda, sorry, Ollie. Yes, Garuda, you can tell us about your zombie moment. You can always tell us about anything.
yeah, go
But
ahead,
but
man.
yeah,
But yeah, if
yeah.
you've read my blog when I've seen a film I don't care for, and I just sort of rip into it, that's an example of me maybe having too much emotion on the situation. And conversely, when I love something or someone, it is so wholehearted that I just can't stop. Being.
I wonder, I wonder what's worst, too much emotion or too little emotion. What do you think?
Well, it would depend on the situation. Um,
Exactly. But let's say that you don't have a choice on situations. You cannot cherry pick which situation is most suitable for you to have too much emotion or too little emotion. Which of the two evils is the worst?
which of the two is the worst? Well, I think in a regular everyday setting, then having too little would. I don't know. They both have their.
See, it's tricky
Yeah.
because you can say, I have too much anger. If you're an angry person, usually you may have violent tendencies, you may break things, you may hurt people, but if you have too little empathy, you may see someone hurting and you don't try to take care of them. You may see someone very hungry and you don't attempt to feed them. You so it's one of those things that it seems like whichever end of the spectrum you pick, they cancel each other out. But I personally feel like I would rather live in a world that experiences more emotion, just because I think that emotions are so
Yeah.
important to being human that if there
Yeah.
weren't any, it would be like being a computer,
Well,
having no life.
did you ever watch this old Nickelodeon cartoon called Fairly Odd Parents?
I watch nothing on Nickelodeon, so no.
Well, there was an episode where, like, right, this kid's got two fairy godparents and he makes wishes on them, right? And one episode, he wishes that he didn't have any emotions so that no one could scare him. And, well, it makes him a lot more logical, and he goes around and is like, have you noticed something, Spot? That being the coolest kid in school is a bit of a hollow victory if you don't have any emotions to enjoy it with.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Basically, emotions are important because without them, like, what's the point in doing anything if you can't enjoy it? Like,
True.
there is no point in living if you can't feel alive, is a quote that I heard somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
Let's see. Garuda says, I was at a carnival place in Florida. It was like a county fair. When we went in the room, some dude was doing some magic by putting needles in his body. I watched young kids pass out. It was funny. It was funny when they hit the ground.
Oh,
Interesting.
that is a freaky display
Interesting.
right there.
What is the most terrifying thing that I have witnessed on a person? See, I have never really seen anyone pass out. I have never seen anyone like bleeding profusely. I've never seen anyone been thrown into an ambulance in like a really bad stage. The only thing I did see was I drove by a car wreck and I was seeing what I thought were body bags, but when you're zooming by on the highway so fast, it's kind of hard to piece it together. But I feel like that's what was happening because the cops seemed to be kind of dragging it. It wasn't debris for sure, but yeah, I think I have been protected from images like that to where it's like, how would I react to seeing people in a stage of headed for unconsciousness or you're injured or something. The next person was a female who was swallowing swords. People were passing out again, but me and my friend was like, bruh, she is my wife.
Sword swallowing is, yeah, it's really, really dangerous. But, yeah, people do it.
The first time I saw that, I never even thought it was real. It just seemed unreal. It seemed like, that optical illusion where you're turned to the side and then someone's like, something
Yeah.
like that. So I always thought that's what happened, but I had no explanation to offer when, from a face angle, the stuff was going toward the mouth, but you cannot put it behind your head because it would be obvious that the sword is not covering your face. So if it doesn't like go over your forehead, then you do know that it's not in front of you. You would know that it's behind you if it isn't covering your face. So it's just weird. Optical illusions. That's something that has always fascinated me.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, when the show was over, she was at the door, and I was too afraid to talk to her. And she was laughing at me because she broke my brain. I wish I asked her to get some wine and pasta.
Hmm.
Now, how long ago was that, Garuda? Um,
Uh,
I like to put a timeline into things. Let's see. Another aspect of people living like zombies for me is that sometimes, depending on where I am at and what is happening, people seem so boring to me. There are a handful of souls that I have met that can really claim to be pleasant for me to be around them or entertaining at any given point. Sometimes it's all about their mannerisms or the aura that they exude. Sometimes they don't even need to be trying to be funny. I'm just like amused already. But I find that people's spirits seem to be too low. But I must say that when I moved into my current city, that's when I began meeting better kinds of people. Because where the last place I was living at before I lived here, oh my goodness, people had no sense of humor. To me, there's nothing worse than someone without a sense of humor
oh
because
God.
you just never know how this person is going to react. It's just a joke. Enjoy it. Why can't you be normal? And it's just strange that we live in times in which you have to be careful about how you say things, whom you say it to, because everybody is so sensitive these days. And it's like, what happened to having fun during a conversation? Like, you don't need to be offensive at all. But I find it weird that there's someone to me who seems to be ruining the fun for a group of people. And then I'm like, it's not like we are actively trying to avoid you. It's just that you don't belong in our group. We as a group do not need to change. We are happy the way that we are. You need to either adapt to the group or find your own niche that you can hang out in. But I have had experiences in which someone comes up to me and they go, I see you having fun with A, B, C, and D person. You smile at them, you giggle, you laugh. But around me, you're always tense. You never make jokes. Why is that? And then I'm like, because in the past, when I have attempted to recruit you into my squad, pretty much, you reacted unfavorably. I am not going to seek you for me to get slapped in the rear. It's either you fit or you don't. And you have demonstrated that you don't fit. So, people like that, I would consider boring. If I cannot be myself around you, you are boring. And I
Hmm.
feel like more often than not, I have encountered people like that. And I wish I did not encounter them that often.
Yeah. There are a lot of people like that here. Although I don't think a lot of the time the problem is that people are too sensitive. It's just like you gotta pick the right people to talk to about the right things. Consider your audience. Like I'm probably like I've done some stand-up comedy and I'm probably not going to make certain jokes if I know that someone in the audience is going to be offended by them.
You do stand up? Show me!
Oh god. Oh yes, yes, that I have made that joke every single time. I cannot in fact stand up is the context of that joke. uh,
I'm a terrible person.
yeah.
But yeah,
My
Garuda
favourite
says
joke that
that
I used
happened
to
to him
make isn't
years ago.
really topical anymore. It was like it was that suicide bombing is a weird job because it's the only job where if you're any good at it, you've got no chance of being promoted.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would think it's funny. Like
And
you just have to. It's not like funny enough for me to like be like
and
physically
then
laughing, But it's like, that's smart. That's smart.
And then I envisioned a former suicide bomber in a job interview thinking, like, former suicide bomber, how do we think that went? And then you get to the where do you see yourself in 5 years part. Here's a map of a major city. Here, 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 and liver over there.
Let's see. This chick must be on my level. This is why I like you, Zamri. You are not a sheep and genuine, just like Ollie. Definitely. I think one of the things that make, like with Ollie, one of the things that make us be tight constantly is that I know that I can tell him anything. There is just no way that I can spend so much time, energy, and effort on maintaining a friendship if you are not, what can I say? If you don't get me. If after a few months you don't know how I am, then I'm not interested in you and we shouldn't be hanging out. But as soon as you get it, and I know that consistently I can recur to you and talk to you about anything, then yeah, I think that's how people should be. Just give everyone an opportunity. But yeah, unfortunately, those people are hard to come by. But my favorite thing about that is that the people who complain that people like that are hard to come by are the ones who are giving problems. Uh,
I am black. I love black people jokes. My favourite white comedians are Bill Burr and Jim. Does that mean Jim Gaffigan? Or is that someone
Jaffigan.
or is that someone I'm not familiar with? Also, Chad Daniels. I'm quite partial to Jim Jeffries myself, and um, I remember being quite fond of George Carlin back in the day, back when he
When
was
it comes to
alive.
comedy, when it comes to comedy, I know absolutely nothing. I have never actively looked up any comedians. The only comedian I can name would be, of course, Ellen DeGeneres because she's all over the place, but I did not associate her as a comedian initially. I associated her as an actress. But outside of that, when someone says that she's a comedian, it's like I know that she has a sense of humor, but to me, I guess it's because I didn't grow up with that being a thing in my house. Like my mom did not actively look for those things. My father was never in the picture. My brother was never really into stuff like that. It's like for me to define comedy, I want to say only clowns can do it. But I know that's not true because you don't need to dress up as a clown and wear makeup and be a Joker style to be funny. But when I hear people having a conversation about comedians that they listen to, people they follow, or naming names, I'm like, I don't know anything. I know.
Although, my friend Sam once got the names C.S. Lewis and Louis C.K. mixed up, which was quite funny to me because if you don't know, C.S. Lewis is the guy that wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, all that jazz. Uh, Whereas Louis C.K. was a comedian who got who basically ended his career because he was kind of a sex pest.
Yeah, I know of that, of the name, but I could not tell you that he's the one who wrote the
Yeah.
Chronicles.
And I just like me and my friends to this day laugh about the possible ramifications of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, written by Louis C.K. He said he saw that new C.S. Lewis stand-up slot, back when he went to that comedy club. I was like, "Do you mean Louis C.K.?" It's like, "Yeah." He said, "Because you said C.S. Lewis." Oh.
See, I guess it's the C that keeps throwing people.
uh, I
Let's
love
see. I
comedians no matter what.
lobe comedians no matter the skin color.
Jim Gaffigan did the subway bit when he's like, "My girl likes tuna water." I don't think I've seen that one. I've not seen much Jim Gaffigan, though, gotta say. Um, I've kind of,
I don't know who this Gaffigan is.
I've kind of gone off like Netflix comedy specials a bit because a lot of them are pretty samey. Like, I mean, it's okay when they get to the personal stuff about their lives and their personal experiences, but a lot of their starting points for routines are normally pretty similar. Especially if...
I have heard of Sarah Silverman. Have I heard of Sarah Silverman?
I've heard of Sarah Silverman.
I'm going to corroborate it right now.
Sarah Silverman. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sarah Silverman. For some reason, I have her on Twitter, but a while back, I just randomly visited the list of people I have blocked, and I don't know why, but I remember that for some reason Sarah Silverman is blocked on my account, but I don't know why. Did I do that?
What's Sarah Silverman ever done to you?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember, but I legit cannot remember. Maybe I should unblock it, I guess, but I don't remember doing that. I know I have blocked people, but I don't remember doing that. So I was like, Sarah Silverman. Like, I don't know her. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to undo that block. But it's weird that you guys are mentioning her because I don't know who she is. But
she's a comedian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched a lot of stand-up for my master's dissertation piece, which was based on stand-up. So yeah.
I have no idea what studying for stand-up would be like.
Basically, you watch a lot of it and see if you can notice any recurring themes and techniques. You know, basically anything that might be worth writing or talking about the
You follow her, my friend Nick follow her, and everybody.
Oh, do I? Oh,
yeah.
I was not aware of that. Must have...
Let me see. I'm gonna try to look up if I have any interactions with her. The silence is awkward. Just fill in the air for
me. Sarah Silverman was hot, but she went full SJW. I don't like her anymore. Oh, we need to collaborate. Perhaps. As a comedian, I think the only thing that matters is she funny?
It's funny that you mentioned that, Garuda, because the moment I remembered that I had her blocked, I thought, could it be one of those people who maybe said something offensive? And I said, I do not need to see the tweets from this person. Because I know that I have been... It's not like I have gotten flamed. To me, there is no instance being online that someone being bugging me like that or attempting to bug me would drive me to be upset. But maybe she was being stupid and I said, I don't want to see this person anymore. But I'm trying to look up if I ever sent her something or if she ever sent something to me, because I have noticed that some people have blocked me and I'm like, what did I ever do to you? But maybe it's because Twitter settings have stuff filtered in a way to where it automatically blocked people for me, but I don't think that's a thing. But it's odd. It's really odd. So I'm not seeing anything. Let me see. Oof. I burped inside. That was weird. It's one of those burps that happens internally. I'm pretty like...
I mean, a lot of people like to complain like you can't do comedy anymore because everyone's so sensitive. Yes, you can. All of these people still have their audiences. Like, you know, cancel culture is not actually a thing.
When was the last time that... Was there a time that maybe this Sarah lady...
Ian's here. Hey, Ian, how you doing?
Might have had a like controversial things that online people do and they end up trending on Twitter. Did she have a moment like that in recent years?
I don't know.
Because
I don't really follow her that closely, to be honest.
maybe that's what happened. Maybe she was trending and I don't know. I just don't know. But if she was blocked, then maybe she deserves to be blocked. So I'm going to block her again.
Why not? And Gerda says,
Yeah, why
Sarah
not?
Silverman is a dying comedian. I used to watch the show and I actually found her blackface episode funny. Still, I consider her a white girl who was a Jewish lady. Oh, she did blackface. Oh, that's
If I find out
unfortunate.
what the deal was with her, I will let you guys know. But yeah, she has been blocked for I
Yeah.
don't know how long, but I discovered that she had been blocked. I thought that I was the one who was blocked, but apparently she's the one blocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing was the other day, J Lo was trending because she was wearing that one green dress again. I think it's by Versace or something. Anyway, she wore a green dress in the 2000 runway for something. And then people kept saying, especially the media, that at 50, she looks much better than she did at whenever her career started in the late 90s. And then I was like, yeah, it's amazing how much hundreds of millions of dollars can do to the preservation of your physique. And I was like, let me put this message out. And I know that someone out there is going to be the P word about it. And I cannot wait. And then there was this girl who felt compelled to reply to me and say, and busting your ass at the gym. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that because you have a personal trainer, you can afford the strict diet, you have the time to be able to do those things because you are not responsible for your entire empire. That's why you hire people. You are making your hundreds of millions of dollars work for you. When you are able to make that money work for you, of course, you're going to preserve yourself well. But, bitch, let me see you without makeup. I want to see you without makeup. Usually, when someone is being complimented on how great they look, I just automatically inspect them closely. I'm like, are you being natural or are you layered up? And it's not like I think that I'm better than others because I never wear makeup, but I'm thinking, I just don't think that's a genuine compliment because you are falling in love with this image of a person under a specific circumstance. Certain criteria are being met. But if you were to take those away, how would you feel about this person? Would you still perceive them in that same manner? And I can tell you that in a world that is so like infested with plastic surgery and obsessed with youth as Hollywood is, that is not the case. And that's why a lot of people end up saying that they are miserable even when they are living famous and they have a lot of things, is because people are fake as shit in that industry. Well, what do you expect? It's an industry that has those values. What do you expect?
It is a
You
pretty shallow
just
industry.
you distanced yourself from the things that make you human, happy as a human, which is like a family oriented life, just living with certain disciplines. But you get crazy, you got money, you think that owning a lot of cool shit is cool. So, you know, again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Everything has consequences. You cannot just cherry pick which consequences you want to
Right.
deal with in association with a decision that you make. You have to take it all. Let me catch up with the comments. I have kind of gone rambling there. Garuda wants to collab with Ollie. Yay, make it happen. I'll be there wrecking the comment section. Most odd. Hello, Ian. Sarah Silverman is a dying comedian. I used to watch her show. I actually found her blackface episode funny. Still, I consider her a white girl who is a Jewish lady. Sarah Silverman got taken down for her blackface episode on her show. She apologized like an idiot. Okay, maybe I need to look it up in that manner.
I think
Yes,
if people
Silverman did
people
blackface
do
irrespective
apologize for
of
this
that.
stuff, it
Her
tends to die
comedy is
down
flatter
quicker.
than month-old roadkill. Hey, Viking. Hi, Viking. True, I am black. I loved how Sarah Silverman did blackface. The thing is, Sarah joined the woke cancel culture and woke her own self. I see. So pretty much she did something that backfired in a sense. Like in an attempt to be woke, it backfired on her. What's worse is that she was busted lying about a club owner underpaying her when she was giving a guest spot and he spotted her some cat money. She was due nothing for her spotted time. Oh, I remember some of that. Yeah, I'm
I
starting to piece it together.
I'm completely at a loss here. I don't know about any of this stuff. But
I heard stuff about it. Maybe that's the stuff that trended on Twitter a long time ago.
yeah.
Assuming that this happened during, Twitter existence. But I know that this Silverman lady, something happened, but I just cannot remember. I mean, I've been on Twitter for so long.
Yeah. If you think about it,
She
cancel
got
culture
burned by
really
her
isn't a
own
thing that
culture's
happens.
idiocy. Sarah is such a fascinating creature, not even scientists could figure her out. Viking, is that not called ironic karma? It appears as such.
I don't know why people keep calling them cancel culture because I struggle to think of a single person, barring maybe Kevin Spacey, and that's for very good reason, that was actually cancelled. Like everyone else seems to have kept doing their thing at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, that equal pay thing was a couple of years ago. When it comes to equal pay, that is a topic that I've been meaning to explore a little more because I get why pay, like, what is it? Income inequality is a myth. But I'm thinking if we are trying to achieve a pay in which we are actually competitive and we are actually getting value for what we are designed to handle, which is not laborious things like physically demanding things. That's not something that women should do. But I'm thinking, what would it take for women to be able to create something that can compete with the things that men during the course of history have attached value to? Say, what kind of industry needs to be made in which women would be the most competitive, the most intelligent, and not contribute negatively to society. What I mean by contributing negatively to society is usually, say, if you have a female that is born, the amount that she will put in to, say, how can I phrase this? The amount that she will contribute financially to society will severely differ from what a man inputs. He seems to add to society positively, and she tends to be actually a debt for society because she tends to be the one who gets, what can I say? Stuff like childcare, that's like a service from public funding, food stamps, all those things, all those little things. So I'm thinking, in order for women to not be a debt to society anymore, what would it take? And in addition, I think it's odd that, what can I say? When it comes to like inflation, it's difficult for me to sometimes understand that because I'm thinking if there is so much surplus for some companies, why is it that not everybody can actually live a fair living wage? I'm so sick of hearing people say that the person who flips burgers, like, it's like that's the only low level job, right? But the person who flips burgers cannot deserve a living wage because it's supposed to be a temporary job and you should have greater aspirations. No, who are you to say that I need to have greater aspirations? So that's another thing, come to think of it, that may contribute to people being like zombies for me because
Yeah.
you are so
Good
centralized
save.
in sacrificing your young years in the name of becoming brainy to be really, what can I say, to be like qualified to hold a specific job that you want because the pay is great, and of course financial stability is what stresses everybody out. But like, who are you to say that that's what everybody's aspirations should be? What if I genuinely like to have what is necessary? And what is necessary is healthcare, food, shelter, and the services that, due to modern days, we are now dependent on, which would be running clean water, electricity, and sure, a phone. Why not? But
Yeah.
but like I said, that is something that I will reserve for a later time, because it's like I get the argument, but what I don't get is why some people cannot conceive a life of dignity that is outside of those aspirations. Why are you trying to tell me, in a society that says that not everybody can make it to live a successful life, like, are you trying to say that it's okay for people to remain stuck in misery? Like, what does that mean to you? So that's why I consider certain issues in politics to be pretty hypocritical, because until you start loving everybody who is alive, you shouldn't be worried about about what your personal aspirations are and their effect on other people. Like, another way of phrasing that would be, until you acknowledge that people deserve to be living well and not have a lack of an, what is it, an imperative thing to your well-being, then I cannot trust you. So of course, imagine if everyone was able to access stuff and everyone lived for like 100 years. I know that could get crazy, but you need to come up with a better way of resolving the issue. And I feel like that's something that's not really talked about in
I've
depth.
always hated the term unskilled workers, and I've said this to you in these exact words before, just not on the stream. But
Right, right.
people call menial jobs, sort of the legwork, the grunt work, unskilled workers, as if a place of business could function without them. Like, if the if say the cleaning staff from a fast food joint all walked out, the place would fold within a day. If the management all walked out, it'd be a week before anybody noticed. Yeah.
See, when it comes to that, though, I like to think that the benefit of these kinds of jobs is that they tend to be monotone. So you are so used to your routine that that's why it seems like if management were to go missing, the place would still operate adequately. So there is a benefit to your job being predictable. But at the same time, it doesn't really make it okay that is monotone like that, because I think everyone has a right to a day that is engaging and fun, and you can you can implement creativity and figure out more fun ways of conducting yourself at work. But I feel like that's what the matter is. You wouldn't notice that management is gone because everyone is running on autopilot. And I know that because where I work at, it's like a manager can be absent or they can be coming in late. Everyone will go and do stuff based on what the regular procedure is. But at the end of the day, you still need the management for the administrative aspect of work, such as if somebody gets hurt, only they have the authority to be like calling an ambulance for you or something. Or if, say, if we get robbed, who's going to call the cops? So I see your point. I totally see your point. You cannot say that with management alone, the whole place will be able to operate at the rate that the customer anticipates that the facility will be performing at for them to obtain the product or services that they're looking for. But I just wish that they would respect more the fact that people's time costs money. And the whole reason we get up super early in the morning is to make ends meet. How can you tell me that someone does not deserve for their sacrifice, because not everyone has the privilege of pursuing a higher education that's going to ensure that they don't stay stuck at that level? How can you say with a straight face that you have these righteous values when you undervalue the sacrifices that these people make, and you're trying to say that it's not worth their pay.
Well, you can't.
You're only seeing the outside of what that person does. If you were to see me at my job, you're going to be like, this is a cashier. But you don't know all of the other things that go in my day. I am responsible for making sure that every drawer has money. I am responsible for making sure that there's product on the shelf. Just because I am at the front of the store doesn't mean that my assistance is not required to make sure that your stupid coffee that you're looking for in a can is on the shelf before we hear you making noise about how it's not on the shelf and your day is ruined now. So do not look at someone and be like, you look bored. I get that so much. And I'm like, you think that me standing on this counter is all I do? I am a relatively skilled worker because I have decided to pursue opportunities in other departments and within my department that go beyond what my original job description and title is. So you just don't know how dumb and stupid you sound when you tell someone that all you associate them with, based on the things that you say, is with the role that you see them. So that Jimmy who flips burgers, maybe he's also the one in charge of cleaning the bathroom. Maybe he's also the one in charge of making sure that there are no flies inside of the premises. Maybe of the restaurant. Maybe he's also the one in charge that the till has enough change to give you money back for your archaic method of payment. Maybe Jimmy is still the same person who makes sure that your fucking table is clean.
Yeah, well,
You don't know what else goes on in this person's day.
well,
So I think that it is justified.
even if Jimmy only flips burgers, the reason the minimum wage was invented was so that one worker working 40 hours a week could provide for himself and a
An
family in a
entire
house.
family.
When minimum wage was
Exactly.
created, the idea was that a single job, any job, would be able to have you living comfortably if you worked full time.
So, like, the baby boomers, it's usually the fucking baby boomers
Oh,
talking about this. You guys don't get it. Your days were good. You
yeah.
were living a great life, but modern days are different. And you cannot associate that modern days are different because it's not happening to you.
Yeah. Well,
Like, my youth is not like yours, you know?
like
So I just want to sit their ass down and be like, you
no.
had privileges. You were able to afford an education. You had your parents living together. I didn't. My parents were divorced and I inherited nothing. And on top of that, I could not even get a chance to pursue a higher education with little to no debt.
Yeah.
Like, it takes a lot for you to get a full ride on anything. So
Yeah.
I am not living in my situation because I'm lazy and I love this, right? Like, I do not necessarily have career aspirations that are like super strong. Like, my brother, we knew before he was born that he was going to be a fucking pilot. But for me, I have never had that defined. And I think that it should be okay for me to work any work as an adult and be able to like maintain myself decently and not have to struggle.
Now,
But
as
for
much
some
as
reason, these people on top are saying that that's not possible because inflation this, inflation that. Oh, it's women's fault because women decided to get degrees and join the workforce as well. Well, when you are living single, what are we supposed to do? Like, we cannot wait for a man to be our Lord and Savior. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It should be okay for you to choose to not join your life with someone else until you feel prepared for it. That's what responsible people do.
yeah. Well, I'm not
And that's
gonna.
part of the reason also why I think that people are zombies when it comes to
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm not gonna bash the baby boomers as a collective because I'm sure there are any number of wonderful people in that demographic. But
There are,
one
there are.
thing that does annoy me is when they say they weren't handed anything. Oh, hello, baby boomers, straight out of school. Would you like a job good enough to support a family right out of school in this factory? No degree necessary. Also, here's like 9 pensions and a car loan. But yeah, weren't handed anything.
Yeah, it's like, I guess the baby boomers don't even realize that because the very name that they have, baby boomers, it's like birth rates were just skyrocketing during those times. Like, you don't understand that your sole existence is making it tough on everybody, you know? So I don't want to say that at that moment in time, that birth rate was the sole trigger of modern day problems, but
Well,
there's definitely something to consider there. And in modern days, if you ask me, most people are not finding it appealing to have kids because it's difficult as hell.
there's a load of
So we
factors
may
as to
we may
why.
end up being like another Japan where people just stop having babies.
Yeah,
I'm not planning on having kids.
no, nor am I.
So yeah, it's not attractive at all.
It's
There's no reason at all to do
Well,
that.
there's a lot of factors to consider. There was the culture of debt that was built around that time and that persists to this day. Everyone was taking out mortgages for houses, and this was when houses were affordable, which they are now
Hmm.
not.
Hmm.
And they took out loans for everything, and
And that very culture of loan, if you think about it, if you want to have good credit with a bank, what do you need to do? Get in debt. And what do you need to be able to do with that debt? Pay it off. And
yeah,
what do you need to pay it off? Money. And what do you need to make money? A good job. Where are the good jobs at? Oh, I'm not qualified to hold them because I don't have the biggest debt of them all, which is the college degree.
I do have
So
that one,
there's no
but
incentive.
in
There's no
England it
incentive.
gets written off after 30 years. So,
Yeah, like here, even if it were written off after decades, I still wouldn't find that as an incentive because I don't
yeah,
like to know that I have that debt
yeah.
following me.
Well, you
You
don't
know,
have
like
to
that's
pay any off until you're earning enough to reasonably be able to afford it anyway. And
that makes sense. But around here, bills do not wait for your economic situation to be sorted. If I
most
were
of
to
them
lose my
don't here
job,
either. It's
my
just that
car
one.
my car is not going to be like Zam is under or unemployed, so Toyota is gonna have mercy on me and be like, it's okay, sweetheart. We'll postpone this until you can start paying again. No, they're going to report me to the credit bureau and do all this shit, grab my car and take it away, auction it maybe. And it's like you work so hard and you're always constantly at risk of if I lose it, this is it. I have to start over. Like that is just no way to live. No way to live. And I feel like that's part of my perception of people being zombies. You have to focus on I have to constantly be enslaved, working and working and working and working and working, making money, 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 because at any moment something is going to happen. You need to be prepared for it. And there's just no peace of mind. It's like if you're born on the lower level of society, it's like, sure, you could try going to college and studying and working hard and possibly even throwing an extra job on the side. But by the time you're done, you are so miserable. You need to have another level of mental tolerance to walk out of college after having worked and also studied and prepared. College level stuff is serious work. For me, I did not want to have that kind of life. I don't think that my young years should be swallowed by four walls while I get prepared for a so called future in which I'm going to knock on someone's door to work for them. No, teach me how to work for myself. Teach me how to have my own business. Teach me to not be dependent on a company. Teach me to be autonomous.
Oh, Jack's here.
You
Hey,
know?
Jack, I am glad you happened by. Your video has been unblocked if you hadn't noticed, and I've seen it. Well done. Very good.
Oh, Jack is here. Yay. Well, I'm going to catch up to with the comments real quick. With the girl who works at McDonald's or a supermodel, I only care about her female loveliness. I don't care about money. Yes, it's English. It means deriving enjoyment, amusement from the difficulties of others.
Oh,
The issue with
Schadenfreude.
trying the equal contributions of women to society is the feminist devaluation of motherhood. Oh, in the Caribbean, where I am from, we call them informers. That is how I work. I am getting the job done super quick, then just post all day. That is why I get to be a supervisor. People ask me for
He
help,
said,
then I tell them,
yes.
okay, wake me up when you
Marvellous.
need help. Let's face it, since when has shelf stacking and checkout operating been mentally stimulating? Of course, the operator is likely to look bored. How about using a bit of intelligent conversation to give them a break from the mundane? I think that checkout operating can be challenging because in my experience you get monitored. There are metrics that you have to fulfill. You have to scan like 20 items per minute, and then you have to maintain your lines at a certain rate. You have to make sure that you know your codes, because if you're taking too long at the checkout, they're going to come over and ask why you're backed up. I don't know about you, but if I know that I am causing someone to be held up, I get stressed out. If I have to
Yeah.
look up a code, I get stressed out. So I have memorized every single number that is associated with every product in the store just to make sure that I am not the slowpoke. So that can be mentally stimulating because the codes are not always the same. And the register itself can get trippy. So sometimes you need to behave like you have an IT degree to get it to work like it needs to. And sometimes your manager comes over and he or she doesn't know what to do. So sometimes you get to collaborate with your manager and be like, hey, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we push this button? What if we cancel this? What if we take it to another register? What if we instead submit an online ticket and see what happens? So like I said, you need to be involved in the day to day operation of what it's like to be a cashier to understand that what can make it stressful. But in your defense, some people get too comfortable in their position. Some people, it's like, I get hired to be a cashier. I go in at 8 and until 4, I am doing nothing but cashiering. Someone like that, it's like, okay, you have no right to get stressed because you have not even attempted to learn more. Whereas someone like me, I'm actually valuable because I know more than what happens at the register. I know how to actually set up the register. I know how to open the store. I know how to, I don't know the closing of the store because it's been years since I closed because I said I deserve to have stability in my schedule. But some people have not even attempted to learn more beyond what happens at the counter. So if you are encountering someone who happens to be extra, like me, that is when that becomes offensive. And that no possible outsider can bring an intelligent conversation to me when I actually get to learn and grow more within my operations center. Like there's more than just stacking things. And even if you are a stalker, like if you're working in a grocery department or something, behind the scenes for you to get your product out, so much more happens. And if you're the buyer, your day is even more fun because you have to get pretty technical with those things. And if you're also the one ordering, stocking, and making signs, that can get very stressful because that stuff has deadlines. So, no, we do not need a break from the mundane. If you are someone who is an overachiever, you are stressed out. And for some reason, y'all are saying that we don't deserve nothing but $15 an hour when we have all of that responsibility. Also, if we were to aspire for the so called $15 an hour, maybe that would make people be more inclined to want to learn more and stay within the company. Because companies keep saying, we have such a high turnover, we have $15. Why is this not incentivizing people to stay? Because there's just no incentive. You're not making it easy for you to move up within the company, for example. It shouldn't be such a struggle. But anyway, that may be a rambling that I reserve for another time. I
Yeah.
would just walk out the meeting and bang out work, then take a nap in a place no one can find me unless I told a specific person where to find me during my nap for help. I am technically by the ass and the weirdo millennials. I was born in 86. I've been working hard since 7 years old. I don't like how I am a millennial. Well, if it isn't my favorite person. And Ollie, hello, Jack. Hi, Saga. Is everyone well? Yes. I am okay. Just live and working hard through the motions. I'm going to finish reading the comments and then Ollie can say anything that he means to say, and then I'll mention my last two zombie things, and then I'm gonna have to like sign out because it's getting dark, and of course I got stuff to do. I was getting worried because 5 days and it tells me in vid editor that it's still in dispute. No visual restrictions. I understand. Well said, Zamri. This is how I operate. Do you? This is how I do. I can help when I am done. And if you're going to like criticize someone, make sure that you at least know what their goal in life is. Because I don't like that people get treated like they're just inherently lazy for not having aspirations. It's like, no, get to respect the person. Like what is valuable to you is not valuable for everybody. Like you ever have those moments where it doesn't matter what's happening or who it is, but if you're having a very crappy day, someone can come up to you and tell you something really nice and be like, "Oh, hey, that favor that you did for me the other day, helping me carry my groceries when my back is busted to my car. That was really amazing. Thank you so much. I would not have been able to do it without you," or something like that. Or maybe they bring you like a handwritten note telling you how awesome you are. For me, that turns my mood around. So that could be the incentive that I have to show up at my job. It's about making someone else's day better. So you value the monetary aspect, great, that is important. I mean, everybody can value that because money does make things happen and life more comfortable. But when you can separate that and be able to have peace, finding value in things that go beyond that social establishment, life is so much more fulfilling. There is more to life than just working and making money to make sure that your ends are being met. So the other two things I had to say was people don't seem energetic. So I guess it goes hand in hand
Um,
when you are tired, and also people aren't as affectionate,
we
like
should
physically
clarify for
affectionate.
those who aren't clear yet. We are in fact talking about societal zombies, as in boring people, not actual zombies that will eat you.
Yeah. Yeah, so, since some people have arrived
Yeah.
a little later. But yeah, people not being energetic, again, it goes with people being tired, but also people not being affectionate. Like, it's amazing to me that a lot of people don't regularly just, be like, hey, I'm going to hug my parent by hugging them, or greet my parent by hugging them, or say goodbye to my significant other by giving them a kiss. Sometimes I see two people who I know are dating, and it's like they just breeze away. And I'm like, wow, can you not
What?
display a little bit of affection for this person? Like, shoot, I have dated people like that where it's like, I'm just, I feel like I'm a rock. Like, you have no feelings, you treat me like I'm a rock, and I'm like, I deserve so much better. Because I know that I can be a zombie about that myself, but if you're my significant other, you are a really special person, and I will make you feel it no matter what time of the day it is. So I think it's strange that that gesture is slowly dying. So, anyways,
Yeah.
if Ollie has anything else he wants to add or something, feel free to.
Well, not really. We've covered a lot. um, you're
Yeah, tell
you're
me
very
about it.
thorough, and although oh I wa- oh God, I try to motivate people, but I don't have time to linger around like a fart. I am done, and I can help. That is, if you can find me. I've met more than my fair share of zombies. I think of them as dead heads to differentiate from the undead. Yeah, yeah, deadhead. That's not a bad expression. Might start using that. Um, so yeah, we've been talking about people who just bring you down with how like not there they are. And well,
Mm-hmm.
as I said earlier, I'm too emotional about some things because like I get more worked up than is reasonable about a bad movie that I didn't like, and it's like I don't have a go at anyone for liking things I don't like. That's something I never understood. But when I do like something, it's so wholehearted, and that is just great. But then I also sort of wish, because that's the case, that I didn't take art classes and study any kind of video production thing, because then you notice when something is bad. Yeah. And it's, from that moment on, you're very much more difficult to please. Yeah. But, yeah.
See, one of the things that get me is that feeling that the people are there, their body is there, but their mind, soul isn't. It's like, I don't think that society was able to make it this far with people having that kind of a spirit. Like, maybe it's probably my Native American side just telling me that as people who lived in a more like family inclined way, in a more, what is it? Uh, Tribal. Let's call it a tribal way. I associate humans with being tribal. It's like, you know, that's just how
especially on
we
the
are.
internet.
We are meant to be grouped together. We are meant to be hanging out, having fun, getting stuff done together. But now I feel like teamwork, companies are looking for people who are good at teamwork, who got skills at resolving conflicts, who got skill at being able to decipher people's needs just by looking at them. And I'm like, that is so basic. What happened to the so-called more valuable skills of math and being crafty with your hands, and the actual physical aspect of your job? Now it's like you have to understand someone's psychology, and you almost need to be the one remedying it. I'm not your damn psychiatrist. If I wanted to be your psychiatrist, I would have gone to school for that. But I am not. So I think it's strange that we're looking for skills that aren't actually physical ones. It's more about how you socially manifest with others. And I'm like, did our ancestors struggle with that? You know?
Yeah.
I doubt they did.
Well, what happened with math is, ironically, that everyone has calculators with them every day, which is exactly what your math teacher would tell you won't happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, guys, that is it from me. I really don't have anything else to add or contribute, or god damn it, I closed the
well,
window. So,
well,
Ollie, if there are any more comments coming in, you're gonna have to tell me.
Garuda
But
says,
yeah,
"Do it, Ollie. Don't let people hold you back. You're cool and funny. You might need to expand from the weirdos trying to hold you back." Um, yeah, that is definitely a possibility. Well,
words of encouragement,
hey,
yay!
thank you for the words of encouragement. I appreciate them. Now, I don't like to end on a down note, so here's a song. Turn around every now. No, I'm not going to do that. That was a Mighty Boosh reference.
I'm not gonna lie, my blood was starting to run cold. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? No singing. This is a boring channel. There is no joy. There is no singing. There is no out of tune except my monotone tone.
No!
Why
None
am I
of that!
so monotone?
Shame on you!
Or maybe, you know what we should do? Maybe we should try to compose a song together, try to sing it, and see if we can have harmony to it.
That'll be
Because if
fun.
there's something I enjoy about some music is harmony.
Oh.
So I have always dreamed of being part of a choir, but I am too monotone to do that. So yeah, maybe we need to compose a song and then bring it
I wish
here
I
so
could have
that
seen the
people can laugh
reaction
at
to
us.
my vid, Ollie. Yeah. I kind of just, I checked out your channel on a whim, and I saw it there, and well, then I'd clicked the video, so I was gonna watch it. And Jack says, "But Zam, you're on it. It's a ray of sunshine." And follows up by, "Ooh, can I join in for a sing song?" And that's the end of the comments. So, unless there's anything else.
Fantastic. The what is it? The request for joining will be considered.
Okay. If that's everything, I'm gonna. Oh, Guru says, "I love karaoke." Ah, man, me too. Doing this. Do the song
I don't
called
have the
Saturday
guts to
Love
do
with Ollie and
karaoke.
Zamri. Do the song called Saturday Love with Ollie and Zamri. Best duo song, IMO. I have never heard that song, but I will give it a listen. And,
Maybe
alright,
it's what we need to compose.
maybe. Right, well, I can play an instrumental in the background of here if you wanted to give that a try. But, yeah, alright, if
We'll
there's...
have to come up with something.
I could suggest Oasis, but no, that's grown stale. Yeah, Seb has killed that joke, Jack. As Seb often does. Don't tell him I said that. Oh, he's gonna see this video now, isn't he? Fuck.
I doubt it. I don't think he's subscribed to me. Is he subscribed to me?
I
I'm
don't
never
know.
gonna find out.
Right. At any
I don't
rate,
think he is.
if that is everything, all right. Let's Jack says he has that talent. Okay, so do you have a sign out? Oh, my hold on, just a second. You've shifted your camera to the point that my window is blocking you a bit. There you go.
Yeah, my phone kind of like slipped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you feel like it, and remind me later in case I forget, you can leave people where they can find you.
Okay. Right, so you can find me under Ollie Johnson in anywhere with a username. I do a blog where I review movies and pontificate about things, although I haven't done that for a while. I have a YouTube channel where I do short video reviews, recaps of things. I've got to get back on that. And just whatever I feel like doing, really. I recently uploaded a video called Darth Berry, where I took the scenes of Darth Vader from the first part of the original Star Wars trilogy timeline and replaced his lines with British actor Matt Berry, who I think is hilarious. And oh, I'm blocking your face again. I'm sorry. This
Oh,
was
it's
not.
okay.
This was
I'm
not
just
intentional.
cleaning up. I'm just cleaning up.
It's called Saturday Love. Okay, cool. And you can find me on Twitch under Ollie Johnson. I stream like random games. We're currently part way through a Middle Earth marathon. I might do some Dark Souls, Breath of the Wild, that kind of thing. Whatever I feel like playing at the time. And the archive is Ollie Games on YouTube. I spaced on the word there.
I was gonna say, come on, get it out,
Yeah.
get it out.
So, Ollie Johnson on YouTube, Blogspot, and Twitch. Ollie Games on YouTube for the stream archive. And those are the places you can find me.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm done. So,
All right.
mic drop. This is gonna be my mic drop.
I'm not going to drop my mic. It was expensive.
Now I can't hear anything.
Yeah. Right. So if that's everything, we will see you next time. I'll
Bye.
see you. Zam will see you whenever she streams next. I'll see you at some point in the future, I'm sure. Bye.
Bye.